bookmobile went and lost a wheel, crashed into my room. I fell in the book deposit bin. I could not swim.
Barry thought so too, really, but I guess it looks as if you're reorganizing your records.
Yeah.
What is this, chronological?
No.
Not alphabetical.
Nope.
What?
Autobiographical.
No fucking way.
Yep. I can tell you how I got from Deep Purple to Howlin' Wolf in just 25 moves. And if I want to find the song Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, I have to remember that I bought it for someone in the fall of 1983 pile, but didn't give it to them for personal reasons.
That sounds
comforting.
Took it down.
Yes.
In July of 2007, something rocked the world of public libraries. In Arizona, Maricopa County announced that their new Perry branch would be Deweyless. Instead of the Dewey system, books would be organized by BISAC headings, the same headings used by booksellers such as Barnes & Noble or Borders. Focus groups had shown Maricopa that 80% of their patrons browsed the shelves for popular books. For them, Dewey was too confusing. The library blogosphere went, to put it mildly, apeshit.
Ocean tides, can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing.
So how do you find books at a library?
I just look at them and find good ones.
How do you find books at a bookstore?
I just look at them.
What do you think of the Dewey Decimal System?
What is that?
Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've been...
I teach middle school social studies, and my 8th grade students have just finished doing an American history research project. If we didn't have the Dewey Decimal System, it would be very, very difficult for my young students to try to find the information that they need for their research project. I can't imagine them finding specific information in a general section such as the bookstores have. I think the Dewey Decimal System is much easier for children and people not familiar with the system to find the exact information that they need.
I much prefer the Dewey Decimal System because I know exactly where to go in the library to find whatever topic I am researching. In the bookstore, there are far too many choices.
And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills where the landslide...
I think the Dewey Decimal System, who is Dewey Decimal? Who was Dewey Decimal? I think it's archaic and ridiculous. And it makes things very difficult for librarians and very difficult for consumers because we're all used to browsing for books by the subject and the author.
So would you like it if a library was organized like a Barnes & Noble?
No, I would like it if it was organized like a Borders.
And I turned around and I saw my reflection in the snow.
I still think that it's seen its day. It was a wonderful idea when it came, and now it's time for it to go, and I think we should start over. My biggest criticism is that the world is not the way it was when Dewey invented this in the late 1800s. And I think that two parts especially. One, what he thought were important subjects and not important subjects, organizing the system around what he considered then to be the primary disciplines just doesn't cut it anymore. Secondly, I think the extreme hierarchical manifestation of the system where you have a set of, say, 10 major classes, 100 classes, 1,000 classes, where they're all supposed to be equal when you get down to the same number of digits, and that simply isn't true anymore either. So I'd say, bye-bye Dewey.
'Cause I've built my life around you.
Okay, I personally quite like the system of organizing books in a bookstore. I think it's comforting that all the books are arranged by sections, and I think it's really easy to follow. I would actually like if the library was organized much like a bookstore, because the Dewey Decimal System, I think, can be kind of confusing because different categories of books get broken up because they don't all fit concretely into the number system. So the bookstore method can solve that problem, I think, by having it organized by category instead of crazy numbers.
I only read mysteries. The bookstore is good enough for me.
You know, I've always been very interested in the Queen of England. What does she have that in that purse? In the library, I know, organized by Dewey, exactly where to go. Biography or English history. In the bookstore, where the heck do you go? Recent movies, gossip, biography, England, history, travel. Those are all different sections. I think the bookstore method is way too confusing for the serious reader.
And if you see my reflection in the snow.
But when I go to Barnes & Noble, I still have to ask somebody where the literature section is, unless I've been in that store before. It's not immediately obvious. No difference between that and walking in the library the first time and asking somebody where the literature section is if you don't know Dewey or LC. I think it's less critical what system a particular library uses than that they use a system, whatever it is, that makes sense to the people who use the collection, and that it organizes the collection in a coherent way and an intellectually meaningful way. So I'm really not too concerned about simply organizing the books on the shelf. Another, but I think equally important aspect of classification, though, is for the classification number to show the intellectual relationship of items to each other. They may not physically be in the same place, but they might intellectually be in the same space. So I'm much more interested in a faceted system of classification, even the one that, say, Ranganathan advocated earlier in the century, of revisiting that way of looking at classification, because I think in the long run, it's much more amenable to machine manipulation. It's also much more expandable and customizable than either Dewey or LC is right now.
In snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean?
I think really the surprise about going Deweyless was the criticism and from other librarians. That was really, I think, the most shocking thing, was just this out-and-out assault of, you're an idiot, oh my God, this is, you heretic, what are you doing? I mean, it was just really interesting being a part of something that people are making these personal comments. I was getting anonymous emails. Yeah, it was very strange. But on the flip side, I was then also getting these great letters of support from across the country as well, saying, thank you for doing this. This is great. So I think that was actually the biggest surprise, was how quickly negatively people came out against it. The flip side of that also is, I mean, we had some local librarians who were really like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. But once they saw the space and how it worked, they're like, oh, well, of course this makes sense. So I think it's one of those things where you can't make that snap judgment based on what you know. It's a whole new experience.
Oh,